Hello everyone, welcome to Tech World 2. This is Hitman 82 and I'm just going to show you my base here. Lately, Kara and I haven't been able to get together to do Tech It, so we've been playing a lot of Tech World 2, just kind of on opposite schedules it seems. So I shall show you my base and you can see what I've been up to. As you know, I'm not the most creative builder, so this is where I've started out here in a desert biome. It used to be covered in oil and I sucked it all up and used the fuel. So here is my first house, and then I built an expansion over here. And then a third room for my reactor. So we'll go in and have a look at all this stuff. First I'll do a little fly around here so you can have a look. I'm wearing power armor, as you can see. Now, right where these pink trees were, I had an MFR tree farm, and as you can see how thin the jungle is all around here. Well, one of my oak trees hit my chestnut trees, which had jungle vines into it, and basically the thing started eating this whole area, a 4x5 chunk area, and then I stopped it before it kept going and basically ate the whole forest. As you can see, I've got a big tree going up through my house. And inside here, there's the tree growing up through the roof. Boy, look how thin that jungle is. Oh, it used to be so nice. It was just a big, dense green mass out here, and then that tree farm ate it all. Oh well, I'll fix it up some point. So you'll probably be seeing some machines you haven't seen before, unless you're familiar with Tech World 2 and Rotary Craft. Love this mod. The Rotary Craft, if you've never seen it before, it's more based on, there's a lot of math to it. The engines are more realistic, like this one is a DC engine. Well, it's not that realistic. It uses just a lever to power it, a redstone signal. And that powers these fermenters, which then convert sugar and plant matter and some other stuff into ethanol fuel, which you then use in a gasoline engine. Right here. And let's fire that up so you can hear it just a second here. Wow, look at those diamonds, huh? 3,500. Okay, so this gasoline engine, it runs at a certain speed that this grinder requires. The grinder grinds up a new crop type called canola and makes oil from that, and I use that oil for lubricant. Oh, I even put signs on there. That was for Iron Brew Addict when he was just learning this. Put those signs on there so he'd know what he's looking at. We go over here, and if you flip these DC engines on, listen to that buzz. There we go, that takes care of that. Now you see why I have sound mufflers. So a lot of this stuff is made from steel, and the steel you get just from using iron with gunpowder and charcoal in a blast furnace. And this is a Rotary Craft blast furnace. It sits above a lava block. That's why I've got this obsidian around here. Is this tile right here catches fire all the time. And of course, if that was a wood floor, that would be said Hitman is what that would be. So in here, you put your gunpowder here, or actually your gunpowder here, charcoal here. See, the temperature has to be over 600 degrees Celsius to make the iron and the steel. So your iron goes in these 9 slots. Now, the more you put in here, the more efficient it will be. So I generally put 9 stacks in there. And so you'll get bonus, like you won't get 9 stacks of steel out of this, you'll get more. You might get 11 stacks of steel. So in other crafting games it's called critting, where you actually get a critical success and you get more than you normally would. So it's kind of crit based. Now you get that on, I'll show you the ore processing in a minute. Everything is done on this work table. It's kind of like a crafting table. You'll see the question mark over there. You click that and it tells you all about it. You can pause it if you want to read that. Comes with a handbook where you can look through stuff, say the basic ones. Now this was kind of a trick in itself, just learning how to navigate this book. The trick up here is page 1 of 29. You use the plus to step through the pages, all the pages. And then these are kind of shortcuts over here that aren't very intuitive, but oh well. As you can see, there's a lot to this mod. Now I'll do a quickie looky at this stuff here in a minute, but I'm really excited about rotary craft, so that's what I'm going to show you here. This is the reason why you'd run rotary craft. It's called an extractor. Ore goes in here, it makes dust, then the dust becomes something else, I forget what it's called, and then a slurry, and then a solution. So it goes through 4 stages. So your ore goes in here, it comes out here as flakes. You then take the flakes and you put them in a furnace to make them into ingots. Now, with this here, just a second. Now you see it has 4 stages, so each stage requires power, speed, and torque, and a couple different stages require different speeds and torques. So it's kind of tricky to. Again, we're back to that math I mentioned earlier. You have to do different things, have different speeds and torques. Speed times torques equals power, so you have to do the math there and figure out what you need on each stage. So basically what it does is when it goes from ore to dust, there's a chance that a 50% chance it will double your ore. And then there's a 50% chance in the next stage and next stage. So you actually end up with you'll get over 5 ingots per ore. The first ones I put through, I got really lucky. I put, I don't know, 2 or 3 through, and I got 10, an average of 10 per, but that is not the normal. Sometimes you'll get a little less. But on average, you can guess, like if you put 5 diamond ore in there, you'll get 25 diamonds come out the other end, or more. So that's kind of nice, and that's what I love about the extractor. You get so much more for your. It requires a lot of work to set up, and it requires a lot of power. Now we derped with this for a while on UC, or on the server too, and they were working on it. And finally figured out that this magnetostatic engine, which converts redstone flux to rotary craft power, would actually provide the power we wanted. Let's turn this baby on. Oh, isn't that cool? That might be kind of loud for you. I'll stick a muffler on it. So, you've got the power goes in here, goes to your 4-to-1 gearbox, which is set for speed mode. Here's the settings on the magnetostatic engine. This is variable. You can set it for several different speeds, and then you change with this gearbox. You're converting torque to speed. So we actually, you see how it shows 2,000 rads per second, 2,000 nms of torque. Speed mode on a 4-to-1 gearbox. So your torque is divided by 4 while your speed is multiplied by 4. So that's the minimum for stage 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 in the extractor. And if you ever get into this, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But it's just so neat. Like, look at those gears going. Bevel gears here. That's how you get 90 degrees, because it takes power from below it. And I feed it with a hopper, and then I'll put the to the crystal chest. Now, to get the power to do all this, there's a big reactor. Boy, these things are dirt cheap. They're almost game breaking, to be honest. They're that cheap. I only went with 4 rods, so you could put more fuel rods in here. We also, on Tekkit, you'll have seen Kara built a small reactor there, but since then we've learned a little more about them. This one I just threw together. I wasn't really too worried about the heat in that because I only did 4 rods, so it outputs about 1210 average, I think. Way more than I'm using most of the time. And then the waste comes out of here. Goes in the cyanide reprocessor. See, it takes 2 cyanide ingots and then it makes a fuel. Here, I'll show you. That machine also requires water. So 2 of those make a plutonium ingot. So these are all waste ingots that will now go back in as fuel as soon as these uranium ingots have been used. So yeah, and that fuel, I don't even have to come back to the server for months. Even with the chunk loader going, they still probably wouldn't be used up. You can get this extruder up here making obsidian and stuff like that. Yeah, so reactor room and extractor, that's all there is to that room. You know, me and my MFR machines. Here's the enchanter, anvil, disenchanter. I've never done any brewing before, so I made an auto brewer. I needed it to make some magnum torches. Those are used to prevent mobs from spawning within a 64 block radius, which is pretty awesome. I'll show you one of those here. It lights like a regular torch, but you'll see no mobs around here. Now, they might spawn further away and then walk in. It won't stop that from happening, but none will spawn within 64 blocks of that. And I kind of surrounded my base in them, so no more zombies beating on the doors. So this is the only really only IC2 machine I made. I made a jetpack, so I needed a. See, I've got a generator with a hopper on it, and so the charcoal in the hopper goes to the generator, which charges that box, which is how I charged my jetpack before when I was using one. And I hooked up a metal former to it, and that's really all I'm using for IC2 right now. I had to fulfill my clock addiction. I put them all over the place. So I've got a carpenter set up here with water. I disconnected the power. You see there's no power connection to it. I just connect it whenever I need it because it bleeds power and I'm frugal about power, I guess. Rolling machine, same deal. It bleeds power, so disconnected that. I got a pulverizer. It gets fed by this chest, outputs to this one. And this chest inputs to the redstone furnace and out to that. Now this is where I process all those ore flakes I talked about, because when I show you the mining bore, it outputs a lot of ore. So I stick the flakes in there and it goes, splits it between these 2 furnaces and then outputs to the center one. I haven't really done much automating here. I'll get to that, but I just haven't yet. So magma crucible, fluid transposer. I just use this centrifuge for processing combs and stuff. I'll show you my bees here in a bit. So as you can see, I can disconnect that whenever I want because being a forestry machine, it sucks up energy when it's not doing anything. And a tesseract here for transmitting power. Induction smelter, thermionic fabricator. My ME system is using very little power, look at that. I'm hardly utilizing it at all. I'll have to get to that, I just haven't yet. I'm so excited with rotary craft and bees, I haven't gotten time to do any automation. So, 4 64K drives and 6 16s, and that's all I need. So chestnuts is what I'm using for the seed oil. While I'm getting those, I'll show you that. I've got a multi-block farm outside. Bees, bees, millions of bees. Now these are cool from open blocks. It's a tank, and you can the tanks just you block them together and they all stick together. They only hold 16 buckets, but they look really cool. You put them vertically and they really look neat too. But when they're full, they well, let's see, the honey one over there is full, and you don't get to see See, it looks solid, but when it's not quite full, you see, that one is full. But this one, you see how it's kind of flowing here along the edge? Oh, really cool. So I got these machines all hooked up. These are my bee machines that I'm sure you'll have seen in my direwolf video if you watched that. I'll just mouse over them so you can see at the top what they are. This is where I keep my serum, so there's all my species and all this stuff. Chestnuts here going seed oil. I make my impregnated frames or impregnated sticks here as well as the casings. And they are put to that chest, and so do the alveoli blocks, the scented paneling for the alveoli blocks. Process the honey there. There's my first armor suit, which I didn't lose. See, I'll hit tab and you see it has that yellow one? That means I've died once. I started playing here. I think Brew passed 100 yesterday. Okay, so that's about it for upstairs. I've got these auto workbenches. One is making the bee frames. The other one's just idle at the moment. Down here I built my auto spawner, and I found some cave spider spawners. I just chucked them in there today. I needed some mob essence. With this bedrock pickaxe I can pick up spawners and it doesn't break them. So I will show you what you have to do to get that stuff. See, I put silk touch and efficiency on that in my axe. They're a lot faster than the power fist, and they have silk touch, so nice. Mob essence is down a bit. I was spawning wither skeletons a little while ago. Blech, that's ugly. So this will be my automation room, I think, at some point. There's a tank up there with some lubricant in it. Can't really see it very well, just the bottom of it. I needed a spot for my laser in a hurry, so I just threw them in here at the assembly table with the lasers. So here's my Safari Net. It says skeleton, but that's a wither skeleton. That's why it's on exact copy. Otherwise it would spawn, sometimes it would spawn withers, most of the time regular skeletons, which I didn't want. Oh, another reason for those spiders spawning there is I needed the string. Okay, so where to next? I'll show you the bees, and then we'll go look at the last of the stuff, which will be my boring machine, which is not boring. It's very interesting. It's for boring holes. Oh, just my multi-block farm here. I'll show you. Yeah, so this is an orchard. I just made the intricate circuit board there. It has the 4 orchard things. I think they were copper. You don't care, do you? Oh, never mind. Who cares about that? That's all old mod stuff. It's my MFR tree farm. Stuff comes out of the harvester here. I haven't finished prettying it up yet. So you'll see it's all going in the test rack back to my house. Any saplings will first go to this, and if they can't go there, then they go to the test rack. There's a fertilizer on there too, but I shut down my compost. I didn't really care for it. Didn't have the room to store all the stuff from way back and all that, so. Oh, come on, load the ground in here so it doesn't look so... graphics. Anyway, so yeah, this is, it's gray now. I'm planning to color it. I'll use yellow blocks, so this is my bee area. Obviously, it's just started. It will be growing upwards and upwards as I get more alveolis. the sky's literally the limit. Got one apiary outside here, that's where I put my bees for making flowers, so I got flowers for doing color stuff. Obviously this was an old bee area. You can even see the outline of the fence because there's no flowers there. So the only way I've got into this at the moment is through the top. I've only got one strain of bees in here now. The production is so crazy for my storage right now, I just don't bother. I put them in for a little bit and then take them out again. So you see I've got, my only strain I've got running right now is my monastic drones, or monastic bees. So I've got a tropical one there, and now I've got tons of wisps, and we've got Valiant for sugar that I needed for the ethanol. Now I've got Imperial and Industrial for the honey and the stuff for the scented paneling for the aviaries. And just 4K drives and 1K drives. I don't really need the storage yet. So this all outputs there's a test rack linking the two ME systems. So I output the impregnated frames here. Then they go by item duct to all the frames on the alvearies. It's underneath. And then I use the item duct to link all the B outputs. I have they're pulled out by the Billcroft pipes, go to a chest, and then they're pulled out into my little item duct network at those chests. So really the only ME stuff I'm using, it's right here. We can see better here. So yeah. Anything that goes into this chest goes back to my other ME system. Okay, well that's the bees, so now we're off to the really interesting stuff that I really like. Oh, my poor jungle. Now this sometimes crashes when I port, so let's hope for the best. Bruce got a mining borer through that door. I put that on there because, well, he doesn't light up his stuff, and I don't want all my stuff to get blown up. Bunch of signs here. Any newbies to this server, I basically said here, go ahead and mine out the walls and the roof and the floor in my tunnel here. I don't really care. I got so many diamonds coming in. I don't really care if there's people are grabbing them. So this comes back. I'll show you down here. The mining borer is sparkly. It's a rotary craft machine, and you can enchant it by right-clicking it with books. So I put Silk Touch and Efficiency 5 on it. Stuff's output to the chest. This extra utilities pipe has a stacks upgrade, so it sends like a whole stack at one time instead of one unit. And then there's speed upgrades. Goes all the way down here to the filter pipe, and you can see all the stuff. I didn't want any of the reactor craft stuff here, so there's a bunch of that in this one. So this is all stuff I'm filtering out. Goes to the trash can, which voids stuff immediately, so don't get backed up like I was having a problem with the void chest and the void pipe because the transport pipes couldn't pull the stuff out fast enough. And then, so if I go away for a bit, it'll fill the chest. I put 1 bucket of fuel in this, and it will mine, I think about 1,500 or 2,000 blocks down. So here's, yeah, it's empty now, so I'll have to show you that in a bit. So here in a minute I will pause it, and then I'll get some stuff set up, then I'll show you these machines running. This tunnel is really wide, and it's at least 1,500 blocks long, so I kind of went along and lit it up. That's a lux capacitor, if anyone was wondering. It's a power tool thing, doesn't cost anything to use for lighting. Okay, so I will show you this. I won't fire it up quite yet, but I will show you the setup. It has an engine controller underneath, which is set up for a redstone signal, so I can turn it on and off. There is no on and off on the engine itself. You have to use an engine controller for that. This is a fuel-powered engine. It uses Billcraft fuel. And this is a clutch, so I can engage and disengage the power from the engine to the mining system. And then I've got a gear here that uses lubricant. Then a bevel gear that goes over to this, what the heck is this called? A belt hub. These are really neat. So you get a belt hub and put another one here, and then you can link the two with belts, and you have to have a certain, like the right number of belts in your inventory. Then the dynamometer, I don't know if I'm saying that right, it shows what your output is. And the borer. So I'll pause here and then I'll show you some stuff. Now I'm back. I've hooked things up here. I moved the machine over and put some glass up here so you can see where it was. So I'll set the mining borer up. Now you can make any kind of pattern you want here. When you click one of these down, that's the block here is where the mining borer is. So you can go 5 high by 7 wide. Like so. Now if I was making a tunnel for say I don't know, a train or something, I can click the drops off so that it will just void everything. Okay, now we'll turn this bad boy on. Oh, that was a weird graphics glitch, but anyway. Now, so you can see it's getting the power, or the torque. Oh, I guess that's power. Anyway, it's getting the power, and it started mining, and what it uses is mining pipes. And it's silk touching as it goes. You can see it's a pretty fast machine. I mean, it's doing 35 blocks at a time there. So watch how fast things get moved through the pipe. Now you saw there's cobble there, that's from somebody placing that. But it will block, if it hits any mob spawners, it'll actually silk touch it for me and I'll get the spawner. If it hits any lava or water source blocks or oil, whatever, it will displace that block because it puts a pipe in its place. So mobs can't spawn there, obviously, because there's no room. Kind of a noisy machine. You can hear the whirring of the gears and the machine running. Alright, I'll pause here and then I'm going to show you the last machine, which is kind of a higher end one for this. It's to get the bedrock dust, which you need in the higher end machines. So I'll pause it and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the last thing I'm going to show you today. Now, this world is completely flat of bedrock. The entire thing, every age, everything is flat bedrock. So we had to spawn in a bunch of bedrock that we could actually get at, because the bedrock breaker will not break this stuff. So we've got a bunch of bedrock spawned in here just for the rotary craft, because without it, that pretty much kills the high-end rotary craft stuff. Now this is called a block breaker, bedrock breaker. And what it does is it chews up the bedrock and makes bedrock dust. So without any more yakking about that, we'll just turn it on. You can see the cutter head going. So you can see it's really high torque, 8,000 torque, and only 64 rads per second. So it's pretty slow. You can see how slow it's running there. Now you'll see in a second here, you'll see it grind up a piece. And it just slowly grinds it down. It takes, with this fuel-powered engine, it takes about 5 minutes to grind up a whole block, and that gives you 4 dust, which is enough for 1 ingot. So yeah, this will take 30 minutes, about 30 minutes to go through 5 blocks, and that's as far as it'll go. It won't go further than that as far as I know. So it'll go through this. Oh, you see how the first layer came off? See, and it slowly comes down. Now, there's no real way to automate this because apparently if you move it with a turtle or something, it freaks out. So to get the ore out, you have to right-click on the machine, and it spits the stuff out at the top when you right-click it a bunch of times. And so it will hold, I guess, the 20 from the 5 blocks, and then you have to move it. So if I want to move it over one, you would think that'd be a pain. Well, no, because I can use that the belt hubs that I showed you before. That's how I mined all this over here. So it was right over to here, so I've mined along here on it. Now when I want to do the bottom layer, I can use a bevel gear, which is that right angle gear I showed you, so I can get rid of this dynamometer and make a right angle to go downwards, and then another right angle to go this way. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to put this too close, because once I do that, I won't have room for a belt drive when I go over, so I'll have to move all this, but oh well. I can do that. I usually time it, and then I can come down here and flip it off again before I run out of fuel, because I don't like wasting fuel. Now you'll see a setup. Oh, here's that magnum torch here. And I just loaded the 5 chunks along here. This is Kara and Yusi's design. Well, it's my design. They've implemented it here, but anyway, this is the belt drive. Neat. So yeah, the bedrock dust, I can make that cool pick, and the axe. Oh, the best thing is they never run out of durability. So you never have to repair them. Once you make them, unless you lose them in lava or something silly like that, they'll last you forever. So that's why I was saying it would be kind of crappy to not have bedrock. So Brew came and spawned all this in for us to chew up with their block breakers. So I think that'll about wrap it up for us for this episode. Well, I shouldn't say episode, I don't know. I might show another one. We've been pretty addicted to Tech World too, so I might do a bunch of stuff and then show you again. I've been thinking about building just a shop where I go right from the very lowest of the rotary craft, because I haven't seen any videos where people actually, they're always showing the stuff. They don't actually, you know, play along using it. So like, oh well, here's how you do it, and then they show you, and then that's it. And they don't say, well, this is the order you would do it. Like you would start here and work up to the upper tier stuff. So I think I might do something like that. So we shall see. Let me know what you think, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now.